Limited, Tompolo, who accused the Nigerian Navy of aiding oil theft, speaking on Monday night while receiving the national leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association in Delta State. Tompolo cited an instance when the Navy shot at officials of his security firm after intercepting a vessel laden with crude oil in Rivers State.
Some few days back, people intercepted a vessel in Port Harcourt where Nigerian Navy was shooting at Tantita security people with DSS and the civil defense. So we want to employ and beg that you have a duty to play in this present condition now. Because once we do reasonable arrests, what I want to appeal is that you need to help us. If somebody is coming to load a vessel of 5,000 metric tons, you will see this community here now. Nobody will have vessel. The vessel will come from other Lagos or maybe our other neighboring countries or Abuja. But the man here will now do a water boy or a canoe boy. At the end, that is the one that they will arrest or prosecute.
This is a huge story, Vimbai. We know that the Nigerian Navy has denied allegations that its men shot at officials of the Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited in Rivers State. In a telephone chat with the Director, Naval Information Abuja, Comrade Adams Aliyu told Arise News correspondent Ovieteme George that a statement by the chairman of Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited was false. I don't know your thoughts on this. I mean, this is about, talking about whether or not, these people are in cahoot. It's been a long drawn story. But for Tompolo to come out to say, yes, he is witness to this sort of, allegation is quite grave.
This isn't, I believe this isn't the first time we've heard about, disagreement between the pipeline surveillance security operators and the Navy. And I don't think it's the last time. We know that the situation it's very uneasy because everybody, it's almost like a turf war, where these contracts, these huge contracts, by the way, have been accorded for the pipeline surveillance. And the Navy feel very much that that's their terrain and they can fully handle. Last week we were discussing the proposal of the Coast Guard bill and so forth, which the Navy, again, is also saying that the Navy is fully capable of patrolling and protecting all of these assets, and almost feels like, their territory is being infringed upon. Now, when these allegations come, sometimes you see the videos and whatever, only God knows what really happens in the creeks, because the creeks are just a different ball game on their own. It's not even something I want to put my mouth in, because nobody really fully understands what's going on there, because you've got, a lot of guys who, legacy of the amnesty and so forth, a lot of guys who have a lot of power, a lot of influence, a lot of money operating there, and then you have the Navy as well, who's feeling threatened by that. So did it happen? Didn't it happen? The honest truth is we'll never know. Of course, we have to take the stance of the Navy in this case and say, well, the Navy is saying that no such thing happened. But I just wish that at the end of the day, we're here trying to plan for, is it over 2 million barrels of oil per day? And then you hear about these types of skirmishes. It makes the prospect of 2 million barrels per oil very pessimistic. If you speak to some of these, and I know some of the guys who have these pipeline surveillance contracts, they'll tell you that Nigeria is doing about 2 million barrels. It's just that the rest of it is being siphoned out and is going into...
I thought it was important to highlight this story because, those that are trying to sabotage Nigeria, be it, the security agencies or, Tompolo or whoever, this investigation needs to happen. And those perpetrators need to be brought to book. We'll take another story. Nigerian Senate on Thursday approved President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 1.77 trillion naira loan request to help finance the country's 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit for 2024. The loan is set to be part of a fresh external borrowing plan, as outlined in the 2024 Appropriation Act. The approval has since sparked mixed reactions, with some expressing concerns about Nigeria's growing debt, including Senator representing Borno South, Ali Ndume, who on Thursday urged his colleagues in the Senate to advise President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the dangers of borrowing with securing the country. Let's take a look.
And let's be blunt about it. Let's ask the government to do the right thing. And I'm sure that if we tell the president, what to do, he will do it. He will do it. So let us stand up and say that we are just approving a borrowing about 2.2 billion to fund the budget. What budget if we are not secured? So, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I've taken much more time, but let us take this thing more serious.
All right, Rufai, there's been a lot of reactions towards this borrowing as well, and also some statements. But let me take Atiku Abubakar's tweet, who also reacted. He said that the recent report released by the World Bank showing Nigeria as the third most indebted country to the International Development Association is very concerning. Nigeria is sinking further into debt, and the National Assembly has become an accomplice once more. In July this year, Tinubu boasted that the FIRS and customs under his watch had collected all-time high revenues to finance the budget. Why are we still borrowing? There is something that they are not telling Nigerians, even as they are being crushed by a combination of their failed trial and error policies and loan rackets. These Tinubu's loans are bone-crushing to Nigerians and bringing insufferable pressure on the economy, especially when they are not properly negotiated and utilized. It is time to apply more caution and arithmetic to the loan frenzy. I think Atiku Abubakar's tweet there is quite apt.
And Atiku spoke very well.
Very, very well this time.
Wait, Oji.
I
Wait. Hang on a minute. Everybody, hang on a minute.
Go ahead.
If President Tinubu says an accountant, why has he not been able to fix the Madaru in the Nigerians finance and accounting?
Madaru?
Yes. Because you see, we're taking a lot of debt. So our debt now, when he got it, was about 87 trillion. It's gone up to over 134 trillion. There's a deficit of 13 trillion. That's part of it they're taking this money for, to be able to show up the new budget. Plus, the ways and means on ground that he said we have cleared, which we have not cleared. The ways and means is about another 30 trillion. 30 trillion plus 134 trillion, that's about 160-something trillion. Plus all the other debts. We are inching close to 200 trillion. What size of our GDP? Debt to GDP ratio has already passed over 50%. I remember the time of Goodluck Jonathan, the conversation we're having then was debt to GDP ratio of about 26-27% was a problem. So we have outdone ourselves with debts. Oji, in all of this, if I'm seeing infrastructural development and I'm seeing what they do with the money, Oji, I'll be the first to come on here and praise President Tinubu. But what am I seeing? I tell you, budget padding. I'm seeing unscrupulous budgetary demands in schools around Oji River. Ningi was right. He didn't just have the data. When budgets did the analysis, they discovered that over 2 trillion was padded. Let's work with budget on this. And that's the way it is done. So my grouse is, a lot of this money is siphoned. You don't have fiscal discipline as regards the budget. Budget performance too is another topical issue. Then we have a lot of assets we can't afford. Tinubu Adebayo has advocated many times. You have a lot of JVs with the NMPC. Just sell off your assets. Because in the end, your own share of running those assets, you don't pay them. Secondly, you've not been able to do forensic studies into the NNPC and what goes on there. There's no clarity there. Like I was talking, I knew what I was saying when I was commenting the report there. There's a 10 billion NNPC is spent on charity. If they can spend 5 billion on that, at least we'll know they're title sponsors of the league. Because if StarTimes collected 1 billion, use 1 billion to be title sponsors of our league, NNPC spent 10 billion on some charity that we don't know about. So what do we now do? At first, we need budget integrity. Now, that's why, please, I beg every Nigerian out there, once the line item of the next budget is released, please, I know it takes thousands of pages. Let's scrutinize line for line. We can't leave this work for budget alone to do. Secondly, it's the philosophy of what I call Sebo Timwelewa Shakmo. Spend according to what you have. At this point in time, because incurring deficits that we don't see, stop all these frivolous projects. I would have thought, and I repeat again, that 15 trillion should have been better spent on fixing most of the roads in the country rather than going to start a new coastal road. And those are the problems we have on ground. So Atiku was very apt. We need common sense. Again, I repeat, the president is an accountant.
You're right. Dr. Bati, your thoughts? I know a lot of people have talked about whether or not Atiku should be commenting. Even Bode George recently
on the issue of
the
budget and borrowing, Atiku was complaining about borrowing. Now, I hope nobody will come forward and start abusing Atiku Abubakar and saying, oh, he should not have spoken. Because the key point that he made was that under the Obasanjo administration, there was even debt forgiveness. And he said a few years later, I don't know what he meant by few, because Obasanjo left government along with him in 2007, that Nigeria now finds itself in this difficult situation where it is now so heavily indebted. But whatever his position may be, and he's also saying the National Assembly is an accomplice in this borrowing spree. You also recall that Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party always says, look, we should focus on production rather than consumption. He says he's not opposed to borrowing, but that the borrowing should be used for productive purposes rather than consumption. So you can't shut up the opposition. Yeah. The opposition will always say something.
All right.
We're running a presidential system, but I don't think Atiku should be asked to shut up because he has expressed an opinion, because that's the default response from the government. And however, to balance it, Atiku Abubakar may say, don't borrow. National Assembly, you are an accomplice. You are giving us more opportunities to borrow. There are some people, some NGOs, one NGO that is called Center for Equality and Justice, you know, one Theodore, I think that's the name of the guy. He said, in fact, we should borrow more, that the borrowing will boost economic growth, and that the National Assembly should support the president. Right. So two views here. Atiku is a citizen, Mr. Theodore is a citizen. What we can say is a point that even if we borrow, if we have the wiggle room to borrow more, it should be for productivity, not consumption. Yeah. I think yesterday you brought that phrase from Mr. Peter Obi.
From Peter Obi, that Donyo Okupe was saying that there was no actual document, and Rufai here deflated his tire, bringing out the actual document. But I asked you a question about Bode George. You know that he had made a statement saying that Atiku should not bother contest. I mean, he's a PDP chieftain. He's saying that Bode George, Atiku will be 81 by the time he contests, and he should just forget about contesting in the 2027 election. Just your quick thought on that comment.
A quick comment. The PDP at the moment is facing trials. It's in crisis. The party has been disturbed since it lost the 2015 election. And part of the problem that the party has is finding a way forward. Now, Chief Olabode George is not just a chieftain of the party, he's a founding father of the party. And he's telling Waziri Adamawa that, look, at 81, you don't need to run for position again. Join us in the position of elder statesman of the party. However, the prerogative is that of Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar to decide whether at 81 he still wants to continue to chase something he has been chasing since 1993. It is also for the party to take a decision. But there are many members of the People's Democratic Party that Atiku's ambition is disturbing the party. They say they need young blood. They say they need some other options. But the party needs to put its house in order first.
Well said.
So Chief Olabode George may well be considered one of the persons offering advice in the party. There are persons who will also say that Chief Olabode George was a member of the G5 and is a wicked man. Well, maybe he will not agree to that. That is a wicked supporter on the issues. He will say he's defending principles and that he may be accused of having brought the party to this sorry pass.
Politics. Rufai says he's never going to be a politician. Well, let's take another story.
Never say never.
Well, we'll never know.
He can't
deal with it. He can't deal with it. Don't worry
go and be councillor or chairman.
Well, all right. We'll take another story.
No, I'm already serving my people.
He is actually. We'll take another story. Following the endorsement of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's son, Tinubu, by the coalition of the Nigerian youth leaders as the next governor of Lagos State, the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa on Thursday said that he does not lack the experience to contest the governorship race in the state. Obasa made remarks shortly after Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu presented the state's 2025 budget size of 3 trillion naira. Eliciting reactions.
To the blackmailers who have to embark on the mission to distort and redefine our mission, let me state it unequivocally here. Our intention is to promote our party on the platform of mandate. Also, becoming governor is secondary. It is something that I have not given a serious consideration. Nevertheless, that does not mean I am too young or lack experience to run, whereas those who have been before me are not better off. In addition, it is also important to correct the impression from naysayers who have been insinuating that I made payment to seek for blood relation in Ojo to validate my candidacy to run as governor. Of course, I have never denied the fact that I am Obasa, but rather I have never claimed to be related to Odikoyi, Oniru, or any popular Lagos family, as the case may be. I can indeed never run from the fact that I'm related to my Obasa family in Ojo.
All right, Rufy on fire, please, your comment on this.
You see, my grouse is just this. You see, we have, of course, already said this. 2025 is around the corner. Politicking has started full throttle. But the truth is, he has a right to run for governor. He's been speaker for quite a while now. He too is pulling his weight. But the question will be, can he pull that weight against Omo Baba? And who you know, I call Omo Baba, Sheyi Tinubu, His Excellency Sheyi Tinubu.
Omo Baba. Is it Omo Baba Lowo? I know that's
Omo Baba Lowo. Omo Baba Lokan. Baba Lokan, Omo Lokan. You get?
Yes.
So can he go against that grain? I think that's going to be the biggest conversation here. Right. But he too is capable. I mean, the standards are so low in Nigeria. What do you need? You need just a very small pass in terms of your certificate and all of that. But the most important thing is, will the Babaitos of Lagos put him down? Right. Because there's a man that speaks forth who will become the next governor in Lagos. It's called Babaito.
All righty.
If he mentions your name today, Ojinika for next governor.
Correct.
You will be governor.
I don't know if I want to do
if
that.
He mentions your if Babaito mentions your name, you are going to.
Our favorite Nigerian wife. Our favorite Nigerian wife. My final story, I would love for you to discuss this, but I know that Dr. Abati wants to comment on Obasa.
Okay, and I'll be very brief. So, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa spoke, by the way, at the occasion of the presentation of the 3 trillion budget by the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. This is a budget that promotes tourism, that hopes to promote, economic issues, development in Lagos State. Value 3 trillion. Now, it was in response when he was speaking Obita, that he now said, well, some stories have been going around talking about him. One, they say he's interested in the position of governor. He says that's not a priority for him. That his priority is to develop their political group, mandate group, and that anybody talking about he doing long truths to become governor are just blackmailers. So to your point, Rufai was saying about the Omolokan project, I think he had a response for that.
All right.
2, he also said that some people have been saying he's trying to associate himself with some famous families, Onikoyi family. That is not true. That he's from Ojo area and he's proud of his own heritage. Right. Finally, he made a point that he's as qualified, even better qualified than some people who have been governor in Lagos. Right. He didn't name those ones.
Okay.
He didn't name the ones that he's.
All right.